Hello, Rob from Fountain Pen Journey with a pen review. Now, recently I've been reviewing and doing pen mail videos of not just the lower cost pens and Chinese fountain pens. I have been doing more videos on, if you like, mid-range pens, which in all honesty isn't really what I actually prefer usually. I mean, I'm not saying they're not bad, but there are times that you just think, you know what, I need to go a bit back to basics, because, and the reason that I'm doing this particular pen review is because most recently I did a review of the Moonman M800 with the Moonman nib, which, to be absolutely honest, was a bit of a letdown, and for a Chinese pen at that sort of price, a little bit disappointing. So I got out one of the earliest pens that I bought, this one here, which, to be honest, I used, put away, started my Fountain Pen Journey YouTube channel maybe a few months later, and it didn't get back into my pen rotation. So I thought, you know what, I've just tried a Moonman M800, been very disappointed with that, so let's get out one of my earliest pens, ink it up, and let's see how it writes. And I've been writing with this pen for a couple of weeks, and I'm actually really surprised and also quite shocked at how well this pen writes. So, first impressions of this pen, for those of you who know what a Jinhao pen looks like, Jinhao fountain pen, this looks like one of those. There are several Jinhaos that look like this. This is the Jinhao X450 in the blue finish, and this is the Jinhao 250. So it is quite similar to those. I mean, you can see them lined up here side by side. Overall design, I'd say that this pen is very similar to the Jinhao X450, but there are differences. Put these to one side. This pen is unbranded, completely unbranded. There is nothing going on to identify who manufactures this pen, but I suspect it's probably Jinhao or a factory that manufactures Jinhao pens. If you want to know the actual name and model of this, all you have to do is go into Google or whatever search provider you happen to use and type in Blue and White Chinese or Chinese Blue and White Porcelain fountain pen. Chinese Blue and White porcelain fountain pen seems to be what this pen is sold as, and it's available on certainly eBay from various sellers. I believe you can also buy them on Amazon and other pen retail sites. And I believe it's a Jinhao, but there is no Jinhao branding on the clip. It's not a Jinhao clip. There is nothing on the cap band identifying where this pen comes from. Now, the reason I like this pen is because I have a bit of a thing for blue and white Chinese type porcelain, pottery, crockery, things like that at this time of the year. I don't know, it's a strange thing. It's just going back to some part of my life many years ago where I actually really quite liked blue and white stuff when I lived by the sea. And this, I've got several porcelain type, blue and white type fountain pens, and this is about the cheapest. This cost me £1.39 including shipping from China, so really, really inexpensive, and they're still available around that price. And what can you say about it? Well, it's not all metal. The barrel's metal. It's not porcelain by any stretch. The cap is metal, but it's got plastic finial. So this is a white plastic finial up here. There is this retaining band up here with the clip inserted into the cap there. The clip is quite a nice design, and it's functional. It's not too stiff, not too soft. Two silver cap bands with this Greek key design, metal barrel like I say, silver ring here, and a plastic finial down at this end. And the blue and white porcelain is attractive. It's got different types of flowers on there, leaves, vines, things like that. So it's an attractive design, and it is printed on here. You can feel the printing, so it is screen printed or something onto there. So it is a very attractive pen, and if you're after a blue and white porcelain type fountain pen, if you type that into Google, these will come up, and quite honestly, well worth it. So let's pop off the cap. It does post onto the finial, but it's not very deep, not very secure, and it becomes an overly long, slightly back heavy pen. Not terribly back heavy, because the main weight seems to press down on your hand here, so not too bad. But other than that, it's a good length to use unposted. So we've got a medium steel nib, which I shall try to get to focus. There we go. So there is some engraving on there, and I believe it says something like iridium point. So I mean, nothing spectacular from this nib. The section is metal, and it is brushed. It's metal, definitely, and it's brushed metal. So focusing is terrible. There we go. So not the longest of sections. There is a step up, but quite honestly, it's actually quite smooth above this silver banding here. And I find it really comfortable to hold, and it is a good length. It's a good weight. It's not overly heavy, but it's certainly got more weight to it than a plastic fountain pen. So definitely something to think about weight, if that appeals to you. Black plastic feed underneath. As I said, medium steel nib. I haven't seen these with any other sort of nibs. And it's an attractive pen, and it's comfortable. It's a good size, good weight. Not too heavy, but certainly better than a more weight than a plastic pen. Barrel unscrews, and it comes with a converter. And I've just literally refilled this a few minutes ago. And it is one of the slidey type converters. See, there is this little handle thing which slides up and down in a track, which moves the piston up and down. I will say that this never seems to get quite full fill in the converter, but it does take standard international short cartridges. You could probably get 2 short cartridges in there, one as a spare or a long standard international cartridge. Capping is secure, definitely no issues there. I mean, the cap doesn't even turn. When you compare this pen with the Jinhao X450, much more similarly sized section, much more interesting, attractive nib, but the section's plastic, black plastic, with these 3 cut out indentations, which some people might not like, because you are forced to hold it into a tripod as a tripod grip, and there are some ridges in there as well to stop your fingers from slipping. But this blue and white Chinese porcelain fountain pen, quite honestly, as you can see, the nib is a smaller size, you know, similar section lengths. This section I don't find slippery at all, but I know some people don't like metal sections, but it is brushed. It's pretty good. I'm not going to argue about that. Put them side by side, and as you can see, they're almost identical in length, but there are differences. I mean, the whole barrel length with the finial is different to the Chinese blue and white porcelain pen on the Jinhao X450. So I mean, these finials are different sizes. So very similar, but at the same time different. So it is not a Jinhao X450. So the main part of this review is about the writing. Now, as I've already mentioned, the Moonman M800 really let me down with the Moonman nib. Not happy with that at all. So let's see how this pen writes, and I'll tell you what I think about this. So this is, and I'm going to give it the actual title. This is a oops, that hard start was me. Well, it wasn't a hard start. Chinese. You know what, I'll do this in capitals for a title so that you can search for it on Google. I'm doing this all over the place, trying to write over the camera. So it's Chinese blue and white porcelain. Oh no, it's not even an R. Sorry, I'm making a right hash of this. Porcelain fountain pen. The medium steel nib. Okay, right, writing sample. What can I say about this nib? It is smooth and it writes really, really well. Much better than the Moonman M800 that I reviewed recently, as I said. And to be honest, this actually writes as good as the Jinhao X450s and 250s, if not a little bit better. The nib itself doesn't have much in the way of line variation. I'd say it's medium wetness as well. No pressure, just apply a bit more pressure, and as you can see, you can squeeze a little bit more out, but I really wouldn't push this nib too far. And unlike many of the Jinhao X450s, 250s and the like, I found that this particular pen actually really keeps up well with the ink flow. I can write for pages and pages and pages, and it doesn't start to have ink flow issues like some of the Jinhao fountain pens do. Some of the Jinhao X450s, 250s, 750s, they do seem to have ink flow, ink starvation issues, which is a bit annoying because they're good pens. So this pen I would actually rate way higher than the Jinhao X450, which is in my view, its closest competitor. Doesn't feel quite as good in the hand. It is a little bit more lighter and a little bit more plasticky, but other than that, I'm just checking this. No, I thought, yeah, I'm pretty certain that that is a plastic cap, but it's solid, decent plastic. I thought it was a plastic cap. Just out of interest, the ink is Diamine Sapphire Blue, which is a really nice bright blue colour. In my opinion, it's quite similar to Base Date Blue, a little bit less colourful, but it's a much better behaved ink. So it's really good from that point of view. So this pen, altogether, I would say, especially for the price, is an absolutely excellent buy. I will state that it is cheap. You know, you're not paying mega bucks for one of these pens, but it writes better than some of the more expensive Chinese fountain pens that I've bought over the last 12 months even. It's a very attractive design. I've never seen this particular model, if you like, in any other designs other than this Chinese blue and white porcelain. So if the actual aesthetics of this pen appeal to you, then it is actually really recommended. I'd definitely give this one a thumbs up, because comparing it to some of the Chinese pens that I've written with over the last few weeks and months, this pen really writes perfectly well, straight out of the box. I've never had to tweak the nib on this pen, and it just does such a good job. Even reverse writing. Look at that. It's gone from a medium to what I would consider a fine. and it's smooth. It's not at all scratchy. So this is a really excellent nib. Really good nib. Really good pen. Really good value. I mean, you pick up a pen like this that writes well, and if the design appeals to you, then you're definitely onto a winner. So I hope you found that this was an interesting video review of this pen. I will have some more pen reviews coming up, along with pen mail videos coming out shortly. Remember, every Tuesday and Thursday, 2 PM London time, that's when I publish my videos. I will be doing some more low-end pens, because quite a few of my subscribers like exactly that, and that's what I concentrate on. I don't like spending a huge amount of money on fountain pens. So you will see some of those, but I do have 1 or 2 mid-range pen reviews as well. So please do hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified of when they go up. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.